Today I want to, this is where I got the tutorial I'm about to show you, just to give that some credit. This is pretty cool. So let's say you have your image and you're ready to separate it from the background. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but something I've noticed that works really well, and there's many ways, but see how you have all these little hairs, and obviously depending on whose image you're working with, you might not have some, but um, I like to avoid something I like to call helmet hair. In other words, let me show you. It's really, really hard to separate out an image from the background and get all these little stray hairs. So I'm going to show you a couple little tricks to do that so it looks, I guess, more realistic because, hey, they're there. All right, so what you're going to do is first of all take your layer, go to Layer, Rasterize, Smart Object, make a copy of the layer, make this one invisible. And then down here at the bottom where that little yin yang symbol is, the adjustment layer, grab that, click on solid color, which is the very top one, and grab the color black. Why? Just because. It doesn't really have to be black. We're going to make it black and say okay. And I don't know what I just did, but all right. And then take this layer and drag it so it's underneath this layer. So I've got one layer that I have made invisible. I have this layer right here, which is the adjustment layer I just made, and this layer. So now I'm going to go to my background eraser tool. So it's under the eraser tool. So you just mouse down and grab the background eraser tool, and this shows up. And this is what the settings you're going to use. Your brush size might change, but what you basically want is, I would reduce the hardness. So instead of it at 100% hardness, kind of make that smaller. I could go with like no spacing. Let's see what that does. Oops. And then up here at the top, you're going to choose the center option there, which is sampling once. Limits contiguous for now. Let's try that. And tolerance 39%. And make sure you're working on the layer of your image. And the idea behind this is when you get started, and I'm going to bracket key and make that a little smaller, sample from somewhere where your hairs aren't located. So another area over here. And I have my tolerance currently set around like 30, 40%. Let's see what happens there. So I'm going to mouse down and I'm going to drag down here and look at that. See how it's taking out the background, but it's not taking out the hair. I love this. So I just kind of come around. I'm not going to draw directly in here because you see what happens there. That's a big old mess. So edit, step backwards. And again, when you do this, sample from over here and then just hold your mouse down and just make sure that, see how like the crosshairs, I'm kind of just following along the edge of the document or the edge of the image. And if I make this go away for a second, you can see I've got a little bit of a wisp of crosshairs there. So it's not totally perfect, but it does a job. So you don't necessarily have to see those. You can just keep following along. But this just looks so much more realistic than, again, sample from the side. And see if that happens, be careful. Edit, step backwards, and make your brush size smaller. And just come in here and just kind of take your time. But see how you can grab, for the most part, your image and make that look pretty good, I think, pretty quickly. You know, just be careful about some of these areas down here. But this is a pretty quick way, I think, to take your background out without messing with your actual image. And if you feel like it's grabbing too much of the hair, so like over here I feel like it is, I'm going to reduce my tolerance. Let's see if that helps. And yeah, see those hairs are staying now. That's good. And yeah, so look at this. Pretty easy, but all these hairs that would have probably not been available before, they stay put. I love it. Saves me time and looks good. So that's basically how that works, and I can look at it against a black background so you can see they're all still there. And obviously you would just continue to do this and then go back in with other eraser tools to get rid of the rest of the background once you're done. But that's how the background eraser tool works.